All righty, we can get started. I think everything's recording.
Awesome. And I guess we could start off with introductions. So I'm Tate Huffaker with Steffens and Company Realty, and I'm joined today by Rachel Keller. And I guess you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, Tate. My name's Rachel Keller. I'm with Fairway Mortgage out of Grand Junction, Colorado.
Awesome. And today we just kind of want to team up and bring you guys a quick update to the market because we know interest rates have been kind of crazy lately, and it's not a usual thing. So we just wanted to, I guess, have a quick conversation and kind of update you guys with what's going on.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be great.
Perfect. And so we got a couple questions I want to share with everyone, and we'll just kind of go through them. So the first one, Rachel, what is going on with the interest rates? Where are they at right now, and where do you see them going? In the next 6 months.
Interest rates has definitely got quite a bit higher over the last, I don't know, 30, 60 days. I mean, over the last year, we're about 3/4 of a point higher than where we were this time last year. So we're about depending on the loan and how much the down payment is, of course, and credit scores and all of those things, I would say we're, anywhere between 7.625% up to 8.25,
Oh wow.
8.375%, for somebody who's looking more at a conventional product with a mediocre credit score. Yeah, the FHA loans are always good to get a little bit more flexibility as far as the credit score and debt to income ratios, and tend to have a little bit lower of a score. But on the other hand, they're a pricier loan.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've heard of folks buying down their rates. Is that something you would suggest, or what can you tell the people about that?
Yeah, I think in this market right now, we're really getting sellers to cover a lot of the closing cost money, and as well as rate buy downs. And sometimes we're combining in this today's market, we're combining a temporary rate buy down, and you can combine that with a permanent rate buy down. So I often price out my loans, maybe, buying down the rate with a 1 percentage point. And then if we ask the seller to contribute some money towards that temporary rate buy down, like for example, on a loan amount of about 310,000, a $7,500 subsidy from the seller, instead of asking for a price reduction, you can put that $7,500 towards a temporary rate buy down. So like today, if we were able to lock you in at 7.5 or 7.625, you would pay your first year as if you were in a 5.5%. And you would save at a loan amount of about 310,000, you would save about $420 a month. By using that seller concession to go towards a temporary rate buy down, and then also maybe paying, I don't know, 0.75 or 1% to get the fixed rate down a
To
little
bring
bit.
it down.
So you just want your listeners to really be working with a lender that can lay out all of these different options. I do what's a total mortgage analysis, that I work up and lay out the different options for people. And yeah, I'd be happy to do that on another episode too, kind of have something
Yeah.
prepared and ready to go. The next 6 months, we're in what, November now. I mean, I don't know. We were all hoping rates were going to be better by this time this year. So,
Mhm.
um, the hope is that once there are signs that the inflationary numbers are going down, then rates will start to come down, hoping that we get a soft landing, as far as, inflation coming down, maybe a little bit of a recession, but nothing too too detrimental, so that's why I say a soft landing, because if we do show that we're going into a recession, then rates historically, since we've first started recording interest rates in this country, rates historically follow a recession. So
Okay.
if and when those market, those target numbers like GDP, the job reports, those kind of things start showing that there's a little bit of a recession, then interest rates should come down. And then next year with the presidential election, I mean, rates can stay a little bit volatile. It's not quite this, you know, how rates have been like a roller coaster. That part has been really hard and not so normal, just the volatility of this market. And so I don't know if that's going to get much better with an election year next year. We kind of have to wait and see. But I guess the analysts and the experts are now saying that hopefully by the end of 2024 and especially into 2025, interest rates should hopefully be more reasonable, closer to, fives and sixes and not so
Mhm.
much like sevens and eights. However, I don't think interest rates will ever get as low as like 3-4% again. That
Yeah,
was,
I
well,
I think a lot of folks definitely took that time for granted. That those days are past us now, though, and that brings me to another point that I wanted to bring up. Is I think now is more important than ever to really know your lender and to really shop around and look what's out there. Because you can save a lot of money with someone that knows what they're doing as far as helping you either buy down your rates, or there's a lot of ways we can work around that. So that's amazing.
yeah, there's a
And
lot of
that's
creative strategies. There
yeah,
are.
definitely. And that's something I wanted to bring up is what benefits or are there any downsides to working with a lender that's not local here to the San Luis Valley? Because like I said, now's a good time to really see what's out there and go with the best option. So yeah, what are the benefits and downsides to working with a lender that's not local here in the Valley?
Well, I think the biggest downside, because I'm actually located in Mesa County, so I'm not local to San Luis Valley. I mean, I do love to meet like my local clients in my
Mhm.
area here in this part of Colorado. I do love to meet people in person. So that's kind of a downside, is that you can't actually have a face-to-face meeting and meet with those people. However, I mean, even the clients here in my area, a lot of times people are just busy. I mean, schedules are clashing. They don't have the time to meet in person. So a lot of what we do is just like what we're doing right now over a Zoom meeting. And with the technology of being able to upload all of your documentation securely, we have an app, you just upload everything right into there. And then I do work
Mhm.
out a total mortgage analysis for every single buyer and every single house that they're interested in, relevant to that home and those buyers or that buyer's situation. And so all of that can be done virtually. Again, just with the technology, I mean, we e-sign documents these days. We
Mhm.
upload everything into the Fairway portal, and then I do the mortgage analysis and email that out, which is a great visual presentation, that we can also go over that together online, like how me and you are talking now. And I can go
Mhm.
into the analysis and actually do live highlighting in there as we're talking about the different numbers and the breakdowns of the payment and the closing costs and all of that good stuff broken down to the dollar. It's just as easy to do everything virtually. So I guess more than somebody being local is just really having, again, a lender who can, is staying on top of all these changes in the market, because every
Mhm.
2 weeks, it's changing. So you
Yeah.
want to have somebody who can really help you, again, just a lot of people might just want to negotiate purchase price, but you want to have a lender that can show you, hey, if you take that $7,500 coming from the seller, and instead of reducing the purchase price by $7,500, which really doesn't make a difference in your monthly payment too much, maybe, 30-40 bucks, instead you
Mhm.
use that $7,500 to do a temporary rate buy down, where you're actually going to save $420 a month. I mean, those are the types of things you need, somebody that's knowledgeable and can lay out those different options clearly.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And with the technology today, it's easy to work around these obstacles with distance. And the main thing is we gotta be smart about it, because it's too expensive to make a mistake. And
Yes.
that kind of ties perfectly into my last question for you. What does someone need in order to get pre-qualified? Like what documents, what do we need to have together in order to go to you and get pre-qualified for a loan?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's not as scary as it sounds to apply for a mortgage loan. Typically, the three things we're looking at are your credit, of course. So
Hmm.
here at Fairway, we do initially, when in the first stages of the pre-qual or the pre-approval process, we only do a soft credit pull. So that will
Hmm.
not affect your credit score at all. And, we can kind of get you all the way to your pre-approval with that soft credit pull. And then when you're ready to start making offers, then we do have to pull in that hard credit pull at that point. Of course, if people need to do some credit optimization and some work on their credit, then we can pull in, that hard credit sooner. But yeah, so the credit report's super important. And then last 2 months or 60 days worth of your bank statements.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that you cannot use cash ever for a real estate transaction. So your earnest money and all the money that you're going to be using for closing has to be sourced and seasoned in your bank account for 60 days. So, that's why it's good to get with a lender early so they can kind of advise you as to all these steps, because intuitively, often a buyer will do the wrong thing,
Hmm.
using cash, like a cashier's check for earnest money deposit, that will screw up a whole loan.
Yeah.
So you just have to be careful. Also, with the credit report, you have to be really careful. Like if you pay off an old collection or do something that you think might help your score, you can actually really hurt your score. So just kind of getting with the lender initially in the first stages so that they can advise you exactly what to do. So again, the credit score, running your credit, either a soft pull or a hard credit pull, last 60 days worth of your bank statements. And then we want to see last 2 years of your last two pay stubs. So 30 days
Hmm.
worth of pay stubs. And if you're a wage earner, your last 2 years of your W-2s, we don't even need to see tax returns.
Mm.
For somebody who's
Okay.
self-employed or, is a 1099 employee or does contracting work, they then would have to show 2 years tax returns. So
Okay.
yeah, once we have that, we just analyze all the information and review everything. And that's pretty much how we qualify you. Another important thing is just to see, if there's anything you can do to increase your cash flow. So your
Hmm.
cash flow being your income. I mean, really now's a great time. Like if you've been rocking it at work, to maybe
Hmm.
approach your boss or your employer and talk about getting a raise and, seeing how you can increase that cash flow. And then on the other side of things, really tracking what you're spending. If you go out for sushi and spend, $150 3 times a month on sushi, I mean, that's 400, that's almost $500 that you're spending that maybe could go towards making a housing payment. So,
Yeah.
I know people think that the market's really impossible right now, but we can again just show you those options. Hi. Yeah, excuse me. Just we can show you
Oh,
all of
you're
those
fine.
options and awesome. That's great. My son just got home from school. I'll be right with
Oh,
you,
no
okay?
worries.
So yeah, just again, taking a look at all those. And sometimes, if somebody's paying, $2,500 in rent and they're looking at like a $3,800 mortgage, I even advise a lot of times my buyers to practice paying that mortgage. Like
Yeah, that's good advice.
before they've gone, gotten themselves, of course, under contract or in a home. Why don't you see if that's affordable, that $3,800 or $3,900 payment, if you cut out, the expensive sushi or, I
Hmm.
spend so much money that it's like, where did that money even go? So
Yeah.
those are
And that, I
also
think,
part of some of the buying plan we can put you on. Sorry.
oh no, that's awesome. And I was gonna say, I think we're all guilty of that, and that's kind of the point I want to get across today. And I think you've done a great job of it as well, is that it's possible. Now's not the time to sit back and be discouraged, but we can, as long as we're working together with the lenders and the real estate agents, we can all come together, and we can make it happen for you guys. And so that's kind of I guess what I wanted to get across today is that we can get it done. We got to be smart about it, obviously. But yeah, it is possible. So now's not the time to be discouraged.
Yeah, if you can afford it, I mean, you're going to lock in on some great purchase prices. again, you know, I'm happy to send over the max seller concessions you can ask for
Mhm.
depending on which loan. I mean, you can get 20, 30,000 from the seller and they're fine with it because they want to sell. You know, they're
Yeah.
motivated to sell because there aren't as many buyers, especially now in this, you know, in winter months, generally there aren't as many buyers. And then with the current
Mhm.
market interest rates, there just aren't as many buyers. So that does open
Mhm.
opportunity. And if somebody can afford it and start earning some equity and start building some of that generational wealth, I mean, that's really what I want to help people do is educate them and get
Mhm.
them on the right track to not have to work so hard in 10 or
Yeah.
15 years.
Yeah, that's
So
the goal. We want to, help everyone have that peace of mind and just enjoy life. It's achievable. We just got to work at it, and that's pretty much all I had. But thank you for your time today, Rachel. I sure appreciate it, and hopefully, when we share this with folks, that they can find something to take away from it.
I love that. This is so awesome that you're doing this, Tate. And thank you, you know, for initiating, you know, just getting this forum going so people can really get some insight as to what's happening in the real estate market. And yeah, just can't wait to help some more families get into homes, and we'll be in touch.
Amethyst